Hey everyone, ready for a deep dive into something that's probably impacting your work more than you realize? We're talking about cloud costs.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head.
And I'm not just talking about the IT department's budget woes. This is
No.
relevant to all of us.
You're right. These days, whether we realize it or not, we're all relying on cloud services in some way.
Right.
And that means understanding those costs is no longer a niche concern. It's essential for, you know,
Yeah.
smart decision making across the board.
Exactly. So we rolled up our sleeves and dug into some research for this deep dive. And
Yeah.
the excerpts we're looking at today are from Domain, Understand Cloud Usage and Cost.
Okay.
And trust me, this isn't just another dry technical manual.
Okay.
It's about uncovering those aha moments that change how you think about cloud services entirely.
I'd say it's less about changing how we think about cloud itself and more about changing how we think about our relationship with it.
Okay.
It's easy to get swept up in the convenience and the flexibility, but without a solid understanding of what we're using and why, things can spiral out of control quickly.
It's like that feeling when you get your credit card statement after a shopping spree,
Right?
except instead of a mountain of shoes,
Yes.
it's a bunch of cloud services you can't quite remember using.
And the thing is, even if you try to be responsible, cloud pricing can feel like a labyrinthine mystery,
Oh, yeah.
even for the tech savvy.
Right.
That's where this deep dive comes in. We're giving you the tools to understand not just what you're using, but how much it's costing you. And crucially, who is responsible for keeping those costs in check?
So are you saying this goes beyond just asking IT for a cost breakdown every quarter?
Way beyond, we're talking about a fundamental shift in how organizations think about and manage cloud spending.
Okay.
It's about moving away from, that kind of reactive cost cutting
Yeah.
and towards a proactive, data-driven approach.
Okay. I'm intrigued. So to break this down for our listeners, we're diving into 3 core questions today. First, what are we actually using in the cloud? And I don't just mean the names of the services, but the why behind them.
Yeah.
Second, what are we actually spending on these services? How do we even begin to track that effectively?
Right.
And finally, who is responsible for that usage and the associated costs? So we're talking about a fundamental shift in how we think about cloud costs.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit daunting, but
Yeah.
luckily our source domain, Understand Cloud Usage and Cost, introduces a framework that can guide us.
Okay.
FinOps.
FinOps.
And no, before you ask,
Right.
it's not another line item on your cloud bill.
Right. It's not another service to buy.
Okay.
It's really more a set of principles and practices. Think of it as the financial equivalent of DevOps.
Yeah.
But for the cloud,
Got it.
it's about breaking down those silos between finance operations and development teams
Right.
to ensure that everyone's really on the same page when it comes to cloud spending.
So instead of finance chasing after engineering with spreadsheets every month, FinOps is about getting everyone to work together from the start.
Yes, ideally from the very beginning.
Okay. I can see how that would be a game changer, but
Right.
how do we actually make it happen?
Well, that's where those core principles that we're talking about really come in.
Okay.
Our source highlighted 4 that really resonated with me.
Okay.
First up, the big one, everyone takes responsibility for their cloud usage.
Okay.
We're talking about fostering a culture where every team, from marketing to product development, understands the cost implications of their cloud choices.
So no more set it and forget it with cloud services.
Exactly.
If you're spinning up a racehorse-heavy application, you better believe you're going to be part of the conversation about its costs.
Yes, you're going to be aware of it. You're going to be
Yeah.
responsible for it. And that actually ties into the second principle,
Okay.
which is really emphasizing accessible and timely data.
Okay.
So imagine being able to see your team's cloud spend in real time broken down by project and service. No more waiting for those monthly reports that are, already outdated by the time you see them.
Right.
This empowers teams to make smarter, more cost-effective decisions as they go.
That would have saved me from a rather uncomfortable conversation with my manager last month.
Oh.
I had no idea. Our new marketing campaign was racking up such a hefty cloud storage bill.
It happens.
Okay, so accessible data is crucial. What's next?
The third principle is really having that dedicated FinOps team to champion this approach.
Okay.
But it's not about creating yet another silo, right?
Right.
This team acts as a facilitator working across departments to implement those best practices, provide training,
Okay.
and ensure that everyone has the tools and the knowledge they need to manage their cloud usage responsibly.
Right, because even with the best intentions, people need guidance and support to actually change their habits.
Absolutely.
It's not enough to just tell everyone to, spend less.
Right.
You need to give them the means and the motivation to actually do it.
Right. You have to enable them. You have to give them the power to actually enact that change. And that brings us to our fourth and final principle, which is that collaboration is key.
Okay.
FinOps is a team sport.
Okay.
It requires open communication and a willingness to work together across those traditional organizational boundaries. This is where those allied personas that were mentioned in the source kind of come into play.
Okay.
Think of them as FinOps evangelists.
Okay.
Embedded within different teams, spreading the good word and helping their colleagues navigate this new world of cloud financial management.
So we've covered the why and the how of FinOps, but what about the practical side?
Right. How do we actually put these principles into practice?
Exactly.
Well, that's where those capabilities that are outlined in Domain, understand cloud usage and cost, come into play.
Okay.
Now, it might sound a bit technical at first,
Okay.
but it's all about giving you more control and visibility over your cloud spending.
Okay, so it's not about adding more to our plate. It's about getting a better handle on what's already there.
Yeah, exactly right. It's about working smarter, not harder, and the source actually breaks these capabilities down into several key areas. We're going to focus on three that are particularly impactful.
Okay.
Sounds good. The first one is data ingestion.
Data ingestion.
Now, before you picture someone force-feeding data to a computer,
Right.
think of it as setting up a system for gathering the right information for all your different cloud services and platforms.
So not just collecting every single piece of data, but being more strategic about what we're actually capturing.
Yes, exactly. The goal here is clarity, not clutter.
Right.
We need to be able to, slice and dice the data in a way that helps us understand our cloud usage patterns.
Okay.
And then ultimately identify areas for optimization.
Makes sense.
And that brings us to the next capability, which is allocation.
Allocation.
Think of this as playing detective with your cloud costs.
Okay.
It's about tracing those costs back to the specific teams, projects, or even individual services that are driving them.
So it's like finally being able to answer that age-old question, who left the lights on, but for the cloud?
Exactly right. No more mystery charges or surprise bills, right? With clear allocation, you give teams the knowledge they need to take ownership of their cloud spending.
Okay.
So, for example, if a marketing team can see exactly how much their latest campaign is costing in terms of storage and compute resources, they can then make more informed decisions about their budget and their resource allocation moving forward.
That makes a lot of sense.
Right. And then the final piece of the puzzle here is reporting and analytics.
Okay, so this is where we take all that data, all that hard-earned data, and transform it into something actually useful.
Exactly. It's about getting the right information to the right people at the right time.
Okay.
We're talking about dashboards that give developers real-time insights into, their application performance and cost, or reports that help finance teams track spending against budget and, maybe even forecast future needs.
So no more wading through endless spreadsheets at 2 in the morning.
Hopefully that.
Trying to make sense of it all.
Let the data work for you, right?
Exactly. This is about making the data work for us, not the other way around.
Absolutely. It's about empowering everyone in the organization with the information they need to make smarter decisions.
Okay.
More cost-effective decisions.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. We've gone from feeling kind of overwhelmed by the complexities of cloud costs.
Yeah, it can feel that way sometimes.
To having this framework, these practical tools to take control.
It's empowering.
It really is. And I think it's clear that, understanding these principles and capabilities isn't just about saving money.
Right.
It's about fostering this culture of, transparency and accountability and smart decision-making.
Yes, across the entire organization.
And for those listening who might be thinking, this is all well and good, but I'm not in IT, so how does this apply to me?
That's a great question. And I think it's important to remember that in today's world, we're all consumers of technology, right? And the cloud is the engine powering so much of what we do.
Yeah.
So understanding these principles can really empower you to be a more informed and effective advocate for your own needs within your organization.
That's a great point.
Ask those questions, challenge assumptions, and don't be afraid to, really dive into the details.
Yeah. Be proactive.
Exactly. You might be surprised by what you learn and the impact that you can have.
So there you have it. We've gone deep into the world of cloud costs, exploring the challenges, the solutions, and those empowering possibilities that come with adopting this FinOps mindset.
It's a journey, but it's well worth it.
It really is. And now it's your turn to take this knowledge, apply it to your own world. Until next time, happy diving.